Figures sound correct? Made around 400 million during your career?
I don't know, it could have been.
Yet end up spending more than you made, and at one point were like 50 million in debt?
Yeah, that was amazing too. But
How does that happen?
just being reckless and young and foolish and stuff.
Imagine earning nearly $700 million and still ending up penniless. That's the wild, tragic story of Iron Mike Tyson, the man who, at just 20 years old, became the youngest heavyweight champion ever, and whose first pro fight paid him a measly $100 after the purse was sliced in half. Fast forward a few years, Tyson was headlining mega events, smashing records, and pocketing $20 million for a bout that lasted less than a minute. By 1995, after a 3-year prison stint, his comeback earned him another $25 million. And a single fight against Peter McNeely drew $63 million in pay-per-view sales. Between 1996 and 1997 alone, 3 fights against Bruce Seldon and Evander Holyfield raked in $90 million, $30 million for the infamous bite fight rematch that shocked the world. And yet, that enormous fortune didn't last. What went wrong? How did a titan of the ring lose almost every dollar he earned? In this video, we'll dig into the financial roller coaster that turned Tyson from a $700 million man into a cautionary tale of wealth, addiction, and mismanagement. Stay tuned to uncover the shocking twists that turned glory into bankruptcy and learn the hard lessons that still resonate today. What happens when you earn nearly $700 million and spend almost all of it? That is the financial roller coaster of Iron Mike Tyson. From the moment the world first heard of the tiny Bronx boy who could knock out an opponent in a single punch, the trajectory of his wealth was as dramatic as his in-ring performance. Yet, even as the numbers on his bank statements rose to astronomical levels, a combination of poor decision-making and a reckless lifestyle proved that fame and fortune are not always a match made in heaven. Mike Tyson's ascent began in the most unlikely of circumstances. A young boy of just 20 years old, 4 months, and 22 days became the youngest heavyweight champion in history, a record that still stands. But the early days of his professional career were not a story of instant riches. In his very first pro bout in 1985, he earned a purse of $450, only to see the majority of it taken away by deduction and costs. What remained was a meager $100, barely enough to cover the night's expenses. The disparity between a title win and a paycheck that could barely buy a coffee was a stark reminder that even the most prestigious victories can carry hidden costs. It wasn't until 1988 that the financial stakes began to climb. That year, Tyson faced former champion Michael Spinks in a fight that would set records for the boxing world. The event drew a staggering $70 million in pay-per-view sales. Tyson's share of that colossal revenue was a jaw-dropping $20 million. The bout was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-second affair, ending in a knockout that stunned everyone in the ring and in the audience alike. For the first time, the numbers on the balance sheet reflected a real, substantial payday, one that hinted at the future financial potential that the sport could offer. Yet the journey from that moment was far from linear. A series of setbacks, both personal and professional, would bring Tyson back to the shadows of the sport. In 1995, after a 3-year prison stint, he returned to the ring for a comeback fight against Peter McNeely. Even though he had gone from a prison cell to the boxing ring in a matter of months, Tyson was ready to capitalize on the buzz that surrounded his return. The fight once again drew a staggering $63 million in pay-per-view revenue, and his own purse reflected the high demand for his brand, a sizable $25 million. The match, which lasted 89 seconds, proved that his presence in the ring still commanded huge numbers. However, the rapid rise in earnings was also a reminder that the cost of maintaining that level of visibility was equally steep. Between 1996 and 1997, Tyson's earnings reached a level that could only be described as astronomical. In just 3 fights, he banked $90 million. Those fights included a clash with Bruce Seldon, a bout that finished in less than 2 minutes, and 2 encounters with Evander Holyfield. The first of these was an immediate rematch that set the stage for what would become one of the most sensational moments in boxing history. The bout went on to be remembered worldwide, not for the length of the fight, but for the infamous bite incident that forced the referee to disqualify Tyson. Despite the controversy, the fight was a financial juggernaut, awarding Tyson a hefty $30 million. The second fight with Holyfield, meanwhile, added even more to his financial portfolio, with each dollar reflecting the enormous global attention that followed the pair. In 2002, Tyson faced Lennox Lewis in one of the biggest pay-per-view events of that era. The fight drew massive attention from fans across the globe, and the stakes, in terms of both money and legacy, were incredibly high. Though the financial specifics of that particular bout are not included in the original text, it is clear that the matchup represented a major moment in his career and a key point in his financial journey. That fight was a culmination of a career filled with highs and lows, a testament to the fact that the sport of boxing can offer a glittering but often fragile path to wealth. Through all of these victories and the dizzying rise in earnings, Tyson's personal finances began to unravel. The $700 million he earned over his career, a number that would be considered a fortune by any standard, started to diminish rapidly. From extravagant spending, mismanaged investments, to a series of financial missteps, the capital that had once seemed invincible began to erode. The combination of his lavish lifestyle and a lack of sound financial guidance proved to be a disastrous formula. What had started as a record-breaking career turned into a cautionary tale, highlighting that wealth, when not properly managed, can be fleeting. The story of Mike Tyson is more than a chronicle of boxing victories. It is a narrative of how the pursuit of wealth, even at the highest levels, can become a double-edged sword. Each fight, each payday, each headline became a reminder that the sport of boxing can produce not only champions, but also financial pitfalls. Even as he captured the attention of millions and made millions of dollars in the process, he also learned, albeit the hard way, that the accumulation of wealth is only part of the story. Managing it is an entirely different challenge, one that demands discipline, foresight, and sound judgment. In the case of Tyson, the challenge proved to be a costly lesson. As the years went on, the financial reality of his life became increasingly clear. The money he earned, from the $20 million he took home after the Spinks fight to the $90 million from the 3 fights in 1996-1997, was not enough to safeguard him from financial turmoil. From extravagant spending, mismanaged investments, to a series of financial missteps, the capital that had once seemed invincible began to erode. The combination of his lavish lifestyle and a lack of sound financial guidance proved to be a disastrous formula. What had started as a record-breaking career turned into a cautionary tale, highlighting that wealth, when not properly managed, can be fleeting. The story of Mike Tyson is more than a chronicle of boxing victories. It is a narrative of how the pursuit of wealth, even at the highest levels, can become a double-edged sword. Each fight, each payday, each headline became a reminder that the sport of boxing can produce not only champions, but also financial pitfalls. Even as he captured the attention of millions and made millions of dollars in the process, he also learned, albeit the hard way, that the accumulation of wealth is only part of the story. Managing it is an entirely different challenge. In the case of Tyson, the challenge proved to be a costly lesson. As the years went on, the financial reality of his life became increasingly clear. The money he earned, from the $20 million he took home after the Spinks fight to the $90 million from the 3 fights in 1996-1997, was not enough to safeguard him from financial turmoil. The sheer scale of his spending, coupled with a lack of prudent investment strategies, led to a rapid decline in his wealth. In the end, the once legendary boxer found himself facing financial adversity. A stark reminder that money, no matter how enormous, requires careful stewardship to endure. In the annals of sports history, the tale of Mike Tyson serves as a stark illustration of the complexities of wealth. The trajectory from a $100 paycheck in his pro debut to a $700 million career total is nothing short of extraordinary. Yet, the subsequent decline in his fortunes underscores the importance of more than just earning power. It highlights the necessity of financial literacy, strategic planning, and a disciplined approach to wealth management. In an arena where the stakes can reach staggering heights, the story of Tyson offers a powerful lesson. The path from riches to ruin can be paved with seemingly small missteps and a failure to understand the true nature of money. His 2024 bout against YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul served as a stark reminder that the allure of money can eclipse age and circumstance. At 58, Tyson stepped into the ring not just for the challenge but for the purse. The contract was a whirlwind of numbers, a guaranteed $20 million and a potential $5 million bonus if the fight lasted longer than 4 rounds. Even after decades of retirement and the weight of his financial history, he answered the call. The fight itself was a far circuit of a spectacle. The crowd was buzzing, the lights were bright, and the cameras were rolling. But the outcome was a unanimous decision in Paul's favor, and Tyson's chest swelled not with victory, but with the realization that a single fight, even a lucrative one, could never mend the damage already done. Yet, this was only the tip of the iceberg. Behind the headlines were layers of extravagance that eroded his hard-earned fortune. Cars that could have paid off entire mortgages, jewelry that sparkled under studio lights, clothing that cost more than a luxury apartment, and a menagerie of exotic tigers and pigeons that roamed his private grounds. He spent $125,000 a year on an animal trainer to keep those creatures in line, an expense that seemed almost obscene yet fit his penchant for the theatrical. Gardening costs surged to $300,000 annually, a lush investment in landscaping that left no stone unturned. Communication expenses were equally staggering. $230,000 each year went to phone bills, pages, and other forms of connectivity that kept him constantly in the spotlight but also drained his savings. Add to that a staggering $50 million in legal fees, a number that, when juxtaposed against his net worth at the time, felt like a punitive tax. By 2003, the cumulative effect of these lavish expenditures, compounded by poor investment choices, pushed Tyson into bankruptcy. He owed $23 million in debt, a figure that would have crippled any business, let alone a retired athlete whose income stream had already dwindled. The court-ordered liquidation of assets was a public spectacle, an icon reduced to a collection of lawsuits and unpaid bills, a cautionary tale of how fame can be a double-edged sword. The bankruptcy was not merely a financial loss. It forced Tyson to confront the reality that the weight of a champion's earnings, if mismanaged, can become a burden heavier than any championship belt. Yet this was only the tip of the iceberg. Behind the headlines were layers of extravagance that eroded his hard-earned fortune. Cars that could have paid off entire mortgages, jewelry that sparkled under studio lights, clothing that cost more than a luxury apartment, and a menagerie of exotic tigers and pigeons that roamed his private grounds. He spent $125,000 a year on an animal trainer to keep those creatures in line, an expense that seemed almost obscene yet fit his penchant for the theatrical. Gardening costs surged to $300,000 annually, a lush investment in landscaping that left no stone unturned. Communication expenses were equally staggering. $230,000 each year went to phone bills, pages, and other forms of connectivity that kept him constantly in the spotlight but also drained his savings. Add to that a staggering $50 million in legal fees, a number that, when juxtaposed against his net worth at the time, felt like a punitive tax. By 2003, the cumulative effect of these lavish expenditures, compounded by poor investment choices, pushed Tyson into bankruptcy. He owed $23 million in debt, a figure that would have crippled any business, let alone a retired athlete whose income stream had already dwindled. The court-ordered liquidation of assets was a public spectacle, an icon reduced to a collection of lawsuits and unpaid bills, a cautionary tale of how fame can be a double-edged sword. The bankruptcy was not merely a financial loss, it was an emotional blow. It forced Tyson to confront the reality that the weight of a champion's earnings, if mismanaged, can become a burden heavier than any championship belt. His personal finances, once the envy of the sports world, had slipped through his fingers like sand through a clenched fist. The story of his fiscal decline became a narrative that extended beyond boxing, a story that resonated with anyone who had ever misjudged the worth of their wealth. In the aftermath, Tyson did not abandon his entrepreneurial spirit. The years that followed were marked by a strategic pivot towards sustainable income streams that aligned with his brand and personal interests. He launched a cannabis company, tapping into the burgeoning market for legal cannabis products. The venture was more than a financial move. It was a statement of reinvention, an effort to associate his name with a product that could stand the test of time. Additionally, he secured endorsement deals that capitalized on his iconic status, allowing him to earn income without the need for physical exertion. These deals range from lifestyle brands to fitness equipment, each carefully selected to preserve his image while generating revenue. Paid appearances became a staple of his post-boxing life. Whether speaking at conferences, hosting charity events, or serving as a judge on televised shows, Tyson turned his presence into a paycheck. He also founded the Legends Only League, a platform that provided a stage for retired fighters to showcase their skills and entertain fans. The league became a new source of income through ticket sales, sponsorships, and broadcasting rights, positioning Tyson as both a promoter and a steward of the sport he once dominated. Perhaps the most enduring facet of his comeback was a YouTube podcast that quickly amassed over 3 million subscribers. The podcast was a raw, unfiltered window into Tyson's life, blending humor, reflection, and candid storytelling. Beyond its entertainment value, the platform opened up monetization avenues, ad revenue, sponsorships, and merchandise sales. The podcast also served as a bridge between Tyson and his fan base, reinforcing his relevance in a digital age that values authenticity and immediacy. By 2025, the cumulative effect of these ventures began to stabilize his financial trajectory. Tyson's net worth hovered around $30 million, an impressive figure, yet a shadow of the $300 million peak he once held. It was a number that told a story of resilience, of a man who had faced bankruptcy and yet found ways to rebuild. While the figure still paled in comparison to his early career, it was a testament to the power of diversification and the importance of aligning income with one's evolving strengths. His journey from the pinnacle of boxing glory to the depths of bankruptcy and back to a modest yet respectable financial footing offers a multi-layered lesson. First, it underscores the peril of extravagant spending when it is not matched by a disciplined savings or investment strategy. Tyson's lavish lifestyle, characterized by exotic animals, expensive apparel, and costly legal battles, illustrates how quickly wealth can evaporate if not managed with foresight. Second, it demonstrates the necessity of financial literacy, knowledge of budgeting, debt management, and long-term planning. A single source of income, no matter how lucrative, can crumble if not protected by prudent financial practices. Third, it highlights the value of adaptability. Tyson's ability to reinvent himself, whether through cannabis, endorsements, or digital media, proved essential in a rapidly changing economic landscape. Moreover, his story serves as a cautionary tale for athletes and public figures alike. The adage that money is a great teacher is embodied in Tyson's experience. The thrill of instant wealth can lure one into a spiral of consumption that erodes the very foundation of financial security. Yet, the same wealth, if tempered with education and strategy, can become a powerful engine for long-term prosperity. As the final chapter of this saga unfolds, Tyson's life remains a testament to both the perils and the possibilities that accompany fortune. His past missteps have become lessons etched into the public consciousness, and his current ventures paint a portrait of a man who has learned to navigate the complex interplay between fame and fiscal responsibility. The narrative of Mike Tyson is no longer just about punches landed. It is about the punches that financial decisions can deliver and the resilience required to stand back up after each blow. Fortune, that elusive partner of ambition, had followed Mike Tyson like a shadow that both illuminated and eclipsed his path. In the early days of his boxing career, the promise of championship rings translated into a cascade of money that seemed to flow without boundaries. The roar of crowds, the roar of television contracts, the roar of sponsorships, each echo added another layer to a vault that was as vast as his talent. Yet even as the dollars piled up, the idea of fortune was not yet a lesson, but a lure. It whispered that more was always possible, that every victory promised an even larger payday. Tyson's confidence surged, fueled by a belief that the next purse would outstrip the last, and the world watched him stride onto the ring with a swagger that matched his financial ascent. The descent began not with a single mistake, but with a confluence of missteps and market forces that turned the tide against the man who had once seemed invincible. Bankruptcy, filed in 2003, became a turning point that forced Tyson to confront the fragility of wealth built on a single source. Legal battles over unpaid taxes, the cost of high-profile divorces, and the extravagant lifestyle that had become a personal brand all drained what remained of his fortune. What had been seen as a symbol of success turned into a cautionary tale of unchecked spending. The dramatic decline highlighted the fact that fortune, no matter how abundant, can vanish if it is not stewarded with prudence. The aftermath forced a hard look at the cost of every decision, every purchase, and every public appearance. Rebuilding required more than hope. It demanded a strategic pivot that would redefine Tyson's relationship with fortune. Diversification emerged as a cornerstone, moving beyond the ring to arenas of business that could generate steady income. The Legends Only League, conceived as a platform for retired fighters to showcase their legacy, opened a new revenue stream that relied on ticket sales, sponsorships, and broadcasting rights. It was a clever marriage of his boxing legacy and an entrepreneurial mindset that allowed him to monetize nostalgia while preserving his public image. Meanwhile, a YouTube podcast grew into a multi-million subscriber platform where authenticity met commerce. The audience's appetite for candid insight translated into ad revenue, brand deals, and a merchandising ecosystem that amplified his reach. These ventures illustrated how fortune could be reclaimed not by replicating past glories, but by creating novel opportunities that aligned with evolving strengths. However, diversification alone could not shield Tyson from the volatility that still loomed. Financial literacy became a vital instrument in navigating the new terrain. Understanding budgeting, debt management, and long-term planning was no longer a theoretical exercise. It became a practical necessity. Tyson's journey from a $300 million peak to a $30 million net worth underscored that wealth is a fluid asset, subject to the whims of market dynamics and personal choices alike. By learning to monitor cash flow, negotiate contracts with a long view, and invest wisely, he laid the groundwork for stability. This shift from a consumption-driven mindset to a growth-oriented perspective reflected a deeper recognition that fortune is not merely about accumulation, but about stewardship. It was this awareness that allowed him to weather future financial shocks and avoid the pitfalls that had once claimed his earlier success. Resilience emerged as the beating heart of Tyson's evolving narrative. Each setback, whether a lawsuit, a failed partnership, or a market downturn, was met with a determination to rise again. The metaphor of the boxing ring proved apt. Just as he had learned to recover from a knockout, he learned to recover from financial blows. This resilience did not simply restore what was lost, it transformed the nature of his fortune. Instead of a single lump sum, his wealth became a tapestry woven from diversified streams, each reinforcing the other. The lesson here is profound. Fortune is less about the magnitude of wealth and more about the capacity to adapt and thrive in the face of adversity. The final chapter of Tyson's saga is less a conclusion and more a continuous evolution. A reminder that the true measure of success lies in the ability to rebuild and to redefine what fortune means in a changing world. From a $100 purse in his debut to a $700 million career total, Iron Mike Tyson's fortune rose with the same ferocity he brought to the ring, only to tumble the instant his money began to feel like a brand rather than a bank. Lavish legal fees, extravagant lifestyles, and reckless investments drained a once enormous nest egg, forcing a 2003 bankruptcy that left him with $23 million in debt and an image-turned public spectacle. Yet, Tyson's later ventures, cannabis labels, the Legends Only League, a hit YouTube podcast, and savvy endorsement deals showed that a champion can reinvent himself when he shifts from consumption to diversification and financial literacy. His current net worth of roughly $30 million underscores that wealth is as much about stewardship as it is about accumulation. If a champion can recover from a knockout, can you recover from a financial one?